"Everything's fine," my husband said as I awaited our child. Then my son called, sobbing, "Mommy, please come home." The hidden camera revealed all. I was resting in the hospital bed, a mix of excitement and slight apprehension swirling in my chest as I prepared to meet my second baby. My name's Sage, and at 34 I'm content with my life, sharing it with my husband, Nick, who works as an advertising executive, and our son Atlas, who is 3. Even though Nick's demanding job often keeps him away, he's a devoted husband who truly loves us. Nick and I first crossed paths back when we were in college. I was focused on literature while he was in economics. It started with a lucky coincidence, a sitting side by side in the library, and that led to regular chats. I was captivated by his genuine eyes and easygoing smile, and before we realized it, we were head over heels for one another. After finishing school, we got married and purchased a home in a peaceful New York suburb, which is where we began to create our life together. Because Nick dedicated long hours at work, I typically took care of Atlas at home. Watching Nick work incredibly hard, from early morning to the late evening, made me appreciate his commitment, although there were moments when I did feel alone. That's why whenever he was around, the three of us made it a point to really enjoy those moments. Atlas just loved his dad, and I loved to see his charming grin whenever Nick would come home. When the decision was made that I'd be admitted to the hospital for the delivery, I got a little worried. Because Nick was so tied up with his job, I fretted about who would be able to look after Atlas while I was gone. That's when we first met Aurora, a babysitter still young. Everyone in town thought really highly of her, and after meeting a few times to plan things out, her upbeat and charming nature calmed my worries. "Aurora is someone we can depend on, truly," Nick told me. "I thought we could leave Atlas in her care without any hesitation." "You're right, Nick. Having Aurora here is such a weight off my shoulders." Atlas had already taken to her, and he looked so happy. Aurora, who's 28, lives just a hop, skip, and a jump away from our house. Having lots of experience babysitting, she had gained the confidence of other families. When I first met her, she instantly bonded with Atlas, making him smile. Seeing them together, I felt I could depend on her to watch over my son. "Atlas, are you excited to play with Aurora?" I asked. "Yes, Mommy, Aurora is so nice and fun," he said. Hearing that from Atlas made me let out a relieved breath. Life at the hospital was much busier than I thought it would be. With checkups, tests, and getting ready for the delivery, time sped by. Even so, I made sure to keep in contact with Nick and Atlas. Nick would call me every day, managing to find the time between his packed work schedule. "Don't overdo it," he would say. "With Aurora there, everything will be fine," he assured me, soothing my anxieties. One afternoon, as I looked out the hospital window, the gentle spring sunlight came in, and the green trees were blowing softly in the wind. As I absorbed the lovely surroundings, my mind drifted back to college and the period I shared with Nick. I could recall our initial encounter at the library, the many strolls we'd take around campus, and the day he asked me to marry him. Every single one of those recollections held a special place in my affections. Suddenly my phone began to chime. The caller ID showed home. I quickly answered, and Atlas's excited voice filled the air. "Mommy, Aurora took me to the park today. It was really fun." "That's great, Atlas. Just hang on a while longer, Mommy will be home soon, all right?" "Okay, Mommy," he said. "I'll be okay 'cause Aurora's here." Hearing him say that calmed me down a lot. While I was in the hospital, my thoughts consistently revolved around Atlas. The mere thought of his grin, his joyful giggles, and his small hands warmed my heart. Aurora was someone I could completely trust with my son, and knowing that Atlas had bonded with her allowed me to continue my hospital stay without worry. But I never imagined a time when that sense of security would be challenged. One day I was undergoing a scheduled checkup. The doctor told me everything's looking good. "Soon you'll get to meet your baby," which completely delighted me. After the checkup, I headed back to my hospital room and my phone rang. Home was on the display. I answered it immediately and I heard, "Mommy, it's me. Please come home quick." Atlas's voice, filled with tears, came through the phone. "Atlas, what's wrong?" "What happened?" I asked, my anxiety increasing. "Please come home quick, Mommy, please." Atlas just kept saying those phrases again and again while sobbing. "It's all right, Atlas," I thought. "I'm on my way back." I inquired with a panicked tone, "Is Aurora there?" But Atlas gave me no answer, just kept on crying. Then the phone call was cut off. Immediately I made a call to Nick, feeling quite unnerved. "Nick, Atlas just called and he was in tears. Do you know what's going on?" Nick answered in a relaxed manner. "Don't fret, Sage. Aurora is with him, so everything should be okay. He's likely just feeling a little down because he misses you." But it seemed strange that he'd be crying like that. I felt something wasn't quite right. My worry was building. "I see," I said, trying to contain my nerves. "I'll go check in on him once I'm done at work, but rest assured Aurora is dependable. Please watch out for yourself and don't push yourself too hard." Nick tried to calm me down. That evening I was unable to fall asleep. Atlas's weeping voice kept replaying in my head and my chest felt heavy. The following day I got another phone call from Atlas that was similar to the first. "Mommy, please hurry home. I'm sorry I am. I'm asking you please." Atlas's voice seemed even more fragile, as if he was worn out from all the crying. With urgency I asked, "Atlas, can you tell Mommy what's wrong?" "I can't, Mommy. I absolutely can't. It's nothing, but I want to see you soon." Atlas kept repeating that same message. As my sense of panic and anxiety grew, I decided to call my mother, Zoe. Since she lives close by, she has always been a pillar of strength for us. "Mom, Atlas calls me every day, crying," I explained, my voice trembling as I reached out for her help. "Something doesn't seem right." "That's upsetting. Okay, Sage, I will head to the house immediately to see how he's doing," Zoe answered in a composed voice. While Zoe was on her way to our place, I passed a few agonizing hours in my hospital room. I was stuck, just waiting and hoping everything would be okay. A few hours later, Zoe gave me a call. "Sage, Aurora seems fine, but Atlas seems scared. Something doesn't feel right, I knew it. It's so unlike Atlas to cry like that." Zoe's update amplified my growing worry. "Listen, what do you think about putting in some secret cameras just to be cautious? I hate to think that Aurora could be doing something wrong, but we might have to in order to learn the truth." Zoe offered. "You're right, Mom. I need to know the truth for Atlas's sake." I went along with what she suggested. After that, Zoe quickly set up the hidden cameras. To protect Atlas, I had to learn the truth, no matter the cost. From then on, every day was filled with tension. Even though I really wanted to trust Aurora, I couldn't shake off the fact that Atlas was acting strangely. My motherly intuition kept telling me that something was wrong. Then the moment arrived to review the hidden camera footage. I sat on my hospital bed, ready to watch the recordings with Zoe beside me. My heart was racing and my palms were sweaty. I was terrified to find out why Atlas had been crying, but at the same time I needed to know. "Sage, are you ready?" Zoe glanced at me and said something. To try and soothe my nerves, she then said, "Although we can't predict the content of the video, let's stay composed as we view it." "Exactly. Thanks, Mom. For goodness sake, I need to confront the reality of things." I inhaled deeply and concentrated on what was on the screen. The video began with a few ordinary minutes. Aurora was visible, happily playing with Atlas, laughing, and Atlas was beaming too. Nevertheless, that smile slowly began to disappear. "Atlas, you need to put your toys away properly." "I apologize, Aurora. I'll put them away immediately," Atlas answered, his voice filled with fear. The video then displayed a sequence of incidents where Aurora was very critical of Atlas. She often raised her hand and moved it in ways that appeared threatening. Watching those moments, I felt a squeezing sensation in my chest. "This is awful. How could she mistreat little Atlas like that?" I quietly murmured. "Sage, the footage is not finished." "Let's keep watching," Zoe told me. She put her hand on my shoulder as she said it. As the video carried on, it showed Aurora making Atlas sit in a chair by force. She forced him to eat. Atlas began to cry, saying, "I don't want to eat anymore." But Aurora disregarded his requests and made him eat. "How could she possibly do that?" I said as tears ran down my face. "Sage, this is proof. Let's make sure to see everything that Aurora is doing," Zoe said calmly, even though anger seemed to flash in her eyes. Next, Aurora was shown making a phone call in the video. We listened carefully, concentrating on her conversation. "It's all good. Everything is going just fine," I imagined Aurora saying, to whom I wondered aloud. "I don't have a clue, but it seems like she's secretly plotting with somebody," I thought. Zoe responded. As we went on, it became very apparent that the person on the phone with Aurora was Nick. Her words made it obvious they were having a clandestine affair. I just couldn't believe it. Nick and Aurora, I was completely stunned. I could barely speak. "Sage, this is a big deal. If Nick and Aurora are in cahoots, that could explain why Atlas has been upset." Zoe assessed the situation matter-of-factly. I felt a huge wave of anger directed at Nick, mixed with the sorrow of being betrayed. There was no way I could forgive him for lying to us and endangering Atlas. Why, how could this have happened? I couldn't stop crying. "Say, just try to keep it together for now. We should figure out the next steps." Zoe tried to comfort me. "You're right. Protecting Atlas is our most important thing. And then we'll figure out what to do about Nick and Aurora." Drying my tears, I felt my determination grow stronger. That evening, I decided to talk with Zoe about what we'd do. We agreed that we should keep filming with the secret cameras to find more proof. Getting real evidence of Aurora's mistreatment and Nick's double-dealing was essential. "Sage, let's start by putting in more cameras so we can really see what Aurora's doing. We need to record more of her abusive behavior," Zoe proposed, and I thought that was a good idea. "We need better evidence of what Aurora is up to." I concurred. Zoe came back the following day, ready to install the fresh cameras. As I sat there at the hospital, I felt useless, unable to assist directly. However, I was thankful that my mom was doing something proactive. "Sage, I've finished setting up the extra cameras," Zoe informed me on the phone. "We should have a better view of Aurora's behavior." I replied, thanks, I really value it. I thought, now we'll have the ability to collect proof to safeguard Atlas. A small weight seemed to lift off my shoulders. From that point onward, we kept a very close eye on Aurora's movements. We kept documenting her abusive actions, looking at the detailed video footage each day to see exactly what was happening. At the same time, I made it a point to phone Atlas every single night. When I would ask him, Atlas, how was your day? He would reply in a quiet voice. I played with Aurora, but it was a little bit frightening. I gently pressed him. Why was it frightening? He responded, when Aurora gets mad, she makes a scary face. I always get in trouble for not cleaning up my toys fast enough. Atlas's voice was filled with fear. I said, I understand, Atlas. Everything will be okay. Mommy will be home before long. I tried to comfort him. The video from that day revealed multiple examples of Aurora harshly scolding Atlas. In this way, we managed to collect more corroborating evidence. Numerous examples of Aurora's bad treatment of Atlas were documented. Sage, I believe we now have enough evidence, Zoe said. I said, it's all because of you, Mom, thank you. But I was thinking, we still need to confirm Nick's actions. I thought, it's essential to understand the depth of his involvement with Aurora. I was pondering our next step, trying to figure things out. The day after that, Zoe had the idea to monitor Nick's whereabouts. To try and catch them together, possibly secretly meeting, we made up our minds to really dig into Nick's digital footprint, checking his calls and messages. Sage, check this out. It proved Nick had been seeing Aurora. That photo Zoe had produced showed Nick and Aurora in a hotel lobby, looking pretty close. There was no question about the nature of their relationship. Looking at the image, my fury intensified. Sensing my growing upset, Zoe attempted to reassure me. Sage, we should pause, take a breath. We've got plenty of proof. We need to give some thought to our next course of action. You're right, I agreed. Considering all the documentation we have, it could be time to talk to a lawyer about possible legal recourse. Getting control of myself again, I began to focus on what was ahead. Zoe and I started to search for a lawyer we could trust. We contacted attorneys recommended by people we knew, setting up meetings. Sage, this attorney focuses on family law and is very experienced in cases involving child welfare. Zoe said, perhaps we could obtain the assistance we required to safeguard Atlas. Filled with hope, I decided to make contact with that lawyer. The first meeting with the lawyer was a huge milestone for us. Zoe and I showed everything we had, giving a complete account of events. This is pretty substantial, the lawyer said. It really proves the babysitter's mistreatment and your husband's participation. Given the information we've gathered, we can take action in court. The lawyer said this with a very serious look. Please defend our son, I begged him, crying. Absolutely, he replied. We'll put everything we have into helping you. First, we need to file for an urgent protective order, and then let's think about moving Atlas to a secure place, the lawyer said firmly. Following his advice, we got all the paperwork ready and started the legal process. As the court case went on, we started feeling optimistic. Zoe and I worked closely with our lawyer, keeping in touch regularly and putting plans in motion to guarantee Atlas's protection. We were ready to take action against Aurora's cruelty and Nick's infidelity. Sage, we've made a real breakthrough, Zoe told me. Thanks, Mom, I said, feeling thankful to her. I'm so lucky to have her there with me. I truly couldn't have done this without her. I told my mom how much I appreciated her. After I had the baby and left the hospital, I went right home. I was determined to speak with Nick face-to-face and show him all of the proof. Although I really wanted to see Atlas, I put his safety first, leaving him and my new baby with Zoe. I sat by myself, waiting for Nick to get back from work. Taking some deep breaths, I strengthened my resolve. While anger and heartbreak were jumbled up in my feelings, I tried my hardest to stay calm. When Nick got home, he seemed caught off guard to see me. Sage, what's up? Did something go wrong? Nick asked, his voice full of worry. Nick, please have a seat. We have to discuss something, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. As Nick settled on the couch, I got the camera and started playing the video. The footage showed Aurora mistreating Atlas, followed by those private meetings between Nick and Aurora. It was all there, plain as day. Nick looked completely stunned and unsure of what to think. This is proof of your betrayal of our family and Aurora's abuse of Atlas. I spoke calmly, though my voice shook slightly. Sage, there's been a mistake. Nick stammered, struggling to find the right words. A misunderstanding. You think this is a misunderstanding? I gestured toward the video. This isn't a misunderstanding. This is the truth. Do you even realize how much pain Atlas has been in? Nick's face flushed red and he balled his hands into fists. I'm telling you, it's a mistake. This is all a fabrication, a plot. Nick yelled, then hurled a sofa cushion. A lie. You think the video is lying? I tried to stay calm. Suddenly, Aurora walked in. Maybe Nick had called her. She looked at me, startled and visibly shaken. Aurora, come over here, I said evenly. Sage, what's going on? What's happening here? Aurora asked, her voice laced with nerves. I played the video showing her behavior toward Atlas. This is what you did to Atlas. You can't make any excuses. I spoke evenly, but I was starting to feel angry. Aurora paused, then her expression changed to one of anger. This is ridiculous. You set this up, didn't you, Sage? I yelled and a vase crashed to the floor. That's ridiculous. Aurora, your stories just won't be believed, I said, my tone resolute. Nick's fury flared up yet again. Sage, this has gone far enough. No matter what you say, it won't have any effect on us. He lifted his hand and punched the wall. You two are the ones that need to stop. I'm not putting up with these lies and violence anymore. I fired back, my voice steady. Nick and Aurora became even more confrontational. Where is the proof? What is the purpose of this? Nick yelled, banging on the table. Aurora came closer, her finger pointing directly at me. You are the worst, doing this all based on illusions. I haven't done anything wrong. Aurora, the evidence is right there. Your justifications are useless, I replied, my voice firm. Be quiet. Aurora got louder and she began kicking things around the room as she walked. I'm telling you, this is utter nonsense. Nick, no longer able to control his rage, came toward me in a threatening way. You're trying to set me up, aren't you? I can see through what you're trying to pull. Schemes? Nick, this isn't a scheme or anything similar. It's the truth. It's the proof that you betrayed our family and Aurora mistreated Atlas. I stood my ground, trying to look intimidating. You'll be sorry you made me this angry. Nick's hand was now a fist, and he hit the wall again. Nick, Aurora, you don't get how serious your actions are. I looked at them with a serious expression. The proof is all right here. Any further excuses are useless. Aurora's face became flushed as she shouted, Shut up. No matter what you say, I absolutely did nothing wrong. Aurora, the situation is finished. I delivered my judgment with a cold voice. Your behavior warrants legal consequences. Nick came closer once more, saying, Sage, cornering us will achieve nothing. You're just going to drag yourself deeper into this. I shot back, confused. What do you mean I'll get involved? I'm taking steps to safeguard Atlas. I stared him down, then announced determinedly, Nick, Aurora, I am now initiating legal proceedings. I will never forget what you did, all to protect Atlas. Subsequently, Zoe and I started the legal process with our attorney, submitting a lawsuit against Nick and Aurora. Several months passed, and Aurora was determined guilty of mistreatment, while Nick's wrongdoings were exposed to everyone, leading to his being ostracized by society. Sage, I thought, Atlas's safety is finally guaranteed. We did the right thing. Zoe embraced me, then said, Thank you, Mom. Having you here with me made me so strong. I told her I appreciated her. Later, I went to pick up Atlas. He was a good kid. He'd been staying with Zoe and seemed glad to see me. Mommy, thank you for coming back. Atlas embraced me with tears in his eyes. Atlas, I said, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry that I let you experience something so frightening, but it's okay now. Aurora won't be able to be near you anymore. I held Atlas close, trying to comfort him. What happened to Daddy? Atlas inquired nervously. Daddy, well, he has to answer for the bad things he did, I said softly. But don't worry. We will continue to live strong together. I said this kindly to him. Afterward, Nick and Aurora's lives were completely unlike ours. I had to deal with consequences and ended up alone, all because of what the court demanded. Everyone knew what I had done, and I got a lot of flack. I could feel judgmental stares wherever I went. Even when I tried to find a job, my criminal record held me back, making it really hard to get hired. At the same time, Nick lost his reputation at work and got canned from his job. When his bad deeds became public, his friends and coworkers backed away, leaving him all by himself. He just spent his days feeling awful about what happened. Living by himself in his new place, Nick would look at old pictures. Those photos showing the good times with his family now seemed like a faraway dream. I held a picture and let out a big sigh. Oh, what have I done? He kept moaning about his bad choices. Since he couldn't get a new job, it was a constant struggle to pay the bills. When I realized how much my past screwed up my life, I had to live all alone. One day, as I was walking downtown, I bumped into Nick unexpectedly. We just stared at each other, surprised at first, and then our faces changed to something more complicated. Aurora, Nick said quietly, I never thought it would end up like this. You're right, but I think this was meant to be, Aurora responded quietly. Her tone was colder than it used to be. We stood there not saying anything for a bit, and then we each just went our own way. They never met again. Each one just kept on living alone, dealing with the things they'd been through. At the same time, we were getting ready to move so we could start over. Our family became even closer, and we were able to look forward with the support of one another. Mommy, what will our new home be like? Atlas asked, filled with anticipation. It's a great place, Atlas. I've done lots of planning so you'll feel safe and happy there, I told him, smiling. Once we had moved into our new house, we settled in pretty quickly. Atlas made some new buddies and loved going to kindergarten. I got a new job, and Zoe, as always, was there to support us. While we were playing in the yard of our new house one day, Atlas said to me, Mommy, this is a really fantastic place. I want to play here always. You're absolutely right, Atlas. Let's make tons of good memories here, I said, smiling back at him. We started really appreciating the little things every day, just being content with our new life. The connections between us as a family went even deeper, and we kept moving onward towards the future.